All right, well, let's get into it. Today's breath work is themed Breathe Easy, so it's its namesake. And we'll kind of like talk about that in like generalities, but like a specific idea when it comes to how we can mechanically make it more effortless and just easier. So there's like literal efficiency built in there. And the way that we'll do that is what we call the four phase breath. And I'll just hop right onto the whiteboard and show you what I'm talking about. You might have seen this one before, heard me talk about it before. And this is an okay way to illustrate it, but it's probably the best we got. But we'll kind of use the clock. So 12, 3, 6, and 9. And basically what we're thinking about here with each of these or this cycle is this part here is the active inhale, and then this is the passive exhale. So normal breathing, right? And so we'll tag this as active, and then this is passive. So once we kind of get to this line, that's kind of our normal resting point when nothing's active. But we have this opportunity to actively exhale, right? So that requires some effort. And then what's really cool, what we're highlighting is this 6 to 9 part of the clock, where this is passive again. Okay. So what's important to note is that the active part, what we typically think of as our inspiration, those are different muscles than the active exhale. So the muscles get a bit of a break. So that makes it less effortful. And then what that also allows is this a little bit more of this, passive inhale, which is kind of cool. So it changes the paradigm because, yeah, we're just so used to thinking active inhale, passive exhale. And so, yeah, we're going to practice this passive inhale. So the active exhale, 3 to 6, is our expiratory muscles. So they're within the ribs, and then it's also our core, right? So if we think about core bracing, right, tennis, karate, that active exhale, it braces our core. And so it's obliques, transverse abdominis. Those are like there's three layers around the core. It also includes the rectus abdominis. Those are all pulling the ribs down. And then there's like this, then when we go from 6 to 9, the ribs kind of naturally open back up, right? So we kind of pull them down. They have a natural resting point. And the ribs especially have like quite a bit of like they want to be in a certain spot. So anytime we move them beyond their resting point, they'll recoil back to their original position, usually pretty fast. That's especially true if we have a lot of stiffness in our thorax, within our rib cage, tightness within the muscles between our ribs, our intercostals. So, yeah, that's basically what we're thinking about with the four phase breath. And what we'll practice today is just doing each one with like a little bit of pause at 12, a little bit of pause at 3. And so we can start to just really feel each component and then we start to smooth it out. So oftentimes we actually pretty quickly get into like a big circle is really just, I don't know if you can see it yet, but a big circle is just indicating a big breath. And then what becomes really nice is that when we go back to our normal breathing, when we get back into these slower forms, maybe after a breath hold and these types of things within the breath practice, then we start to see that this smaller breath that includes this 3 to 6 and 6 to 9 active exhale passive inhale becomes a little bit more natural and ties right into our normal breath, right? We actually want to integrate that into our normal breathing. And also just thinking about like how much ventilation that changes, right? If we're only breathing this top part, right, we're missing all the volume down here, right? Now, for most people and in most positions, because it can be position dependent, looks like a Pokeball a little bit, doesn't it? Um, for most people in most positions, the inhale, so this top part is going to be bigger, but it actually changes with things like arms overhead, for example. So that kind of naturally moves our ribs up, our thorax, our thoracic spine extends. And so that actually changes the ratio. So in that position, like arms overhead, we will see an increase in the amount of space below this 3 to 9 line, and then less on the top here. So yeah, just know that it does shift a little bit. And that's kind of like something else that you can pay attention to as you're going through this is like how much air am I able to move on the inhale and exhale, and how much am I able to move on this active exhale. And you can get a pretty good sense of like how much is being ventilated. So yeah, there's like a really nice opportunity here to get those exhale muscles involved. What that also does for us is it gives these muscles an opportunity to work, right? So they just kind of become a little bit more in line to help out with like a lot of the stiffness that we might get up top because our these inhale muscles are the ones that tend to get really stiff for people because they're overused. And so if we kind of just think about like, oh, these are active half of the time if we're just doing this top part breathing, it becomes to 1/4 of the time if we do the whole cycle, right? And that's a huge shift, right? That's 50% improvement if you want to think about it that way. All right, I'll pause there for a moment. Does that make sense? Any questions there? Okay. Um, and then, so that's kind of like the zoomed in. I know we went zoomed in, but the zoomed out is just decreasing effort. Like, don't try too hard, right? So remember that the skilled version of yourself, like someone who's been doing this longer, doesn't require as much effort to get the same movement that we're looking for. One of my favorite examples of this, or this is the one I think about the most, is like when I'm under, let's just say like a medium to like moderate heavy back squat. So if I'm under like a moderate heavy back squat, we know that if I push as hard as I can, the bar might still move relatively slowly. This is true really with any moderate heavy movement. The speed at which the bar moves is going to slow down, and I can only move it so fast. That's a function of power, and you can get better at that obviously, but with my current capacity, I can only move it so fast. And so I could give it everything that I got, and it's going to move the same pace. It's going to move the same amount. But I can actually back off the intensity just a little bit, right? Like my effort, and it's going to move pretty much the same speed. It's going to move pretty much the same speed. Um, and that subtle shift there is efficiency. It is energy conservation. When we look at it neurologically, what we're actually seeing is the nerve pathway is it's just ones and zeros, right? It's either firing or it doesn't. So when we see this increase in intensity neurologically, it's a faster signal. So it's just like tap 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 tap. Right? That's how our nervous system increases intensity. But we can, in a lot of situations, and this is true for most of life, it's like it doesn't have to go quite as fast to still get the same result. And oftentimes, if We won't get too much into performance, whether sport performance or academic performance or um, really anything within that realm of performance. Oftentimes, just decreasing the intensity, decreasing the effort actually produces a better result. If you were watching the Olympics, this is actually a really good example. So Elisa Liu won gold in free skating, and she in her interviews before and certainly after was just like, I'm having fun. Like, where's the where's the downside of just doing my best and not worrying about the outcomes and like all of these things. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Go watch the interview. It's super inspiring and her story is awesome. But it's a really good example of like a lot of the stuff that we're practicing here. Um, so yeah, basically like throughout the whole gamut here. So in the easy stuff, it's certainly easy to over effort that. But when we get into the bigger stuff, it's easy to overdo it. Yeah. And when we get into the breath holds, if you if you did over effort it, if you did bring up in too much intensity, what we often find is it's actually harder to do this calm, relaxed breath. Like you'll kind of still keep that intensity. So your breath holds get easier as you've kind of brought in this effortless action. Yeah. So yeah, that'll kind of be the general theme, and then yeah, just remember that safety first. Yeah, make sure you're in a safe spot, and that you always have the opportunity to just come back to your normal breath. Right. So you're still in the driver's seat this whole time. This whole thing is really you're in control. So I want it. There's kind of this like this little bit of distancing where you're like, I'm just operating this breath mechanism, right? And that also gives you like a little bit more space to just like keep checking in, like, do I need a little bit more effort? Can I back off it a little bit? That type of thing. Um, let's do a little bit of stretching, just like we were talking about, especially for the rib cage. So the way I want you to do it today is we'll do a little bit of stretching both with an inhale, right? So we'll kind of create some expansion through the ribs. And then we'll also do it because we're going to be working on ribs down. So that's another way to think about it. It's just ribs up, ribs down. So just start with, we'll do some rotation. So big inhale first, and then add in a little bit of a rotation stretch. And then let it exhale, come back to center. Do that again for the other side. Inhale first and stretch. And let it go. Come back to center. Now let's do the same thing for side bends. And then feel free to add in a little bit of like arm overhead. So inhale, reach over. And come back. Let it go. Inhale, go to the other side. Good. So we'll basically see like one more round of that. And then what we'll do on this one is we'll still start with inhale before we go into the stretch, but then we'll exhale holding that position. And usually when you exhale in the position, that actually allows us to go a little bit further into the stretch, if that makes sense. Let's give it a try. So deep breath in, and then we'll rotate and hold that position. Let the air go. Go all the way out and see if you can get a little bit deeper into the stretch. And come back. Good. Okay, maybe a recovery breath. And when you're ready, deep breath in again. and rotate to the other side and let it go. All the way out. See if you can advance, stretch a little bit more, and come back. Cool. Let's do the same thing for the side bend. Deep breath in, reach up and over, and let it go. Sink into the stretch just a little bit more if you got it. And come back. Cool. And then we'll do one more to the other side. Deep breath in, reach up and over, and let the air go. And come back. Good. So if there's anything else that you kind of, especially after you do a stretch like that, you might notice some stiffness in a certain spot. So if you feel like there's a certain area that you need to hit, feel free to give it just a little bit more attention before we jump into the practice. So when you're ready, go ahead and get yourself into position, whether you're sat or lied down. Looks good. All right, so today we're just starting with some breath awareness. Just going to ease into our position. I like to ask myself, can I make myself even a little bit more comfortable? Let your body be heavy and just sink into the earth. To check in with the breath, ask yourself, how do I know that I'm breathing? Notice any movement in my body. Do I feel cool air coming through my nostrils? In breath awareness, we want to release the reins and just let our automatic breathing continue. You don't have to do anything. It'll take care of itself. So just let your body do the breathing. Release the control just for a moment. We'll take a hold of the reins soon enough here. So if we had our hands off of the reins entirely, Now let's grab a hold of the reins. We're not pulling on them or anything yet. They're just in our hand. Still letting the breath do what it wants. And then here, we're going to start to influence the breath just a little bit. So automatic breathing is going to do most of the work. And we're just going to influence it just a little bit. So as we breathe in, we're going to give it a little bit of assistance. As we exhale, give it a little bit of assistance. And as that pendulum swings, notice how it just gets a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper. Start to add a little bit more umph, a little bit more assistance. Doing good. Keep building. Just a little bit more effort now. Maybe it's like 30 to 40% of you consciously moving the breath, where the majority is still the automatic breathing. Wherever you're at, we'll start to work into the 4-phase of the breath, 4-phase breathing. So wherever you're at, let it out. And then we'll take an active inhale through the nose. We'll pause at the top and let it out through the nose. And pause here. Active exhale, push it out. Pause. Passive inhale. Pause. Active inhale. Pause. And let it out. Relax, let it go. Pause here. Now push it out with those core muscles. Active exhale. And then passive inhale only to 9 o'clock. Good. Active inhale. Passive exhale. Good. Active exhale. Push it out. And then passive inhale. Active in. Starting to smooth it out. Passive out. Active out. Passive in. Into active in. Passive out. Into active out. So keep going here. And as you cycle around, still emphasizing the passive inhale, that natural recoil of the rib cage. Starting to smooth it out. So we're removing those pauses, but still noting where you're at in that breath cycle. What phase? Once you're feeling comfortable with that, we'll start to pick up the pace just a little bit, where we're doing this full breath. Been breathing through the nose, start to breathe out through the mouth. Still emphasizing that efficiency that comes from the passive part of the breath. Active, passive, active, passive. The way that we start to pick up the pace is to add a little bit of effort, a little bit of oomph on the passive part of the breath. The same way that we did in our breath awareness, I'm just going to give it a little bit of effort. Maybe it's only 10%. Active inhale like normal, and then a 10% effort on the way out until it becomes 100%. And then 10% active into 100% active. 10% active into 100% active. This is how we start to pick up the pace. Still in through the nose and out through the mouth. A little bit faster. Maybe we're at 20 to 30% effort. What was previously passive is now just a mild amount of active. Keep building. Three more deep breaths before our first retention. Deep breath in and out. One more deep breath in. And let it go. And just a little pause at the bottom here. And deep breath in. Come back to that 4-phase breath. Give it a little bit more effort now. 50 to 60%. Give it 70% on your next breath. %80 on the next breath. Smooth transitions. %90. And now 100% for the whole breath cycle. Shifting to in and out through the mouth. Picking up the pace. In and out. In and out. Keeping the same volume, still as deep as we were before. In, out. In and out. In and out. We're using effort, but only as much as needed. In and out. Stick with it. You got it. This is the most effortful part of today's practice. The deep tap into your experienced version of yourself. There. Two more breaths. One more deep breath in and hold. Hold, squeeze, just a little squeeze here. And let it out. Nice and slow. Easy, easy, easy. Coming into this breath retention. Resuming our effortlessness. Good. Sit with this. Let the air hunger come and go. And whenever you feel a strong urge to breathe, just let it come in smoothly. Maybe it's passive for the first little bit before we do the active, effortless inhale. Notice how less effort is required on this inhale. Then just return to that easy 4-phase breathing. Active, passive. Active, passive. Only effort where effort is needed. next thing that we'll do is just take a series of exaggerated sighs. So wherever you're at, breathe it out. Push it out to the bottom. And then deep breath in through the nose, all the way to the top. And then let out an audible sigh. Do another one. Deep breath in through the nose. And audible sigh. Mouth open. Do 3 more. Deep breath in. 2 more. Deep breath in through the nose. All the way up and out. We'll do 1 more breath retention after this sigh. And let it out. And just pause at the bottom. Coming into this breath retention with less effort. So we're already in a more effortless mode as we hold, just pause as we linger at the bottom of this exhale. And when you feel the strong urge to breathe, just let the air in come in slowly. And just let your normal breath return. And as you sit in this calm, if I may plant a seed of where am I applying effort where there should be only ease? Starting to remind yourself where you're at, the room that you're in, starting to wiggle the toes and the fingertips. So we just come back, feel your body pressed against the seat or the floor. Maybe your body wants to stretch. Maybe it wants to move in a way that feels really, 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 really good. Bring a little Buddha smile to the side of the lips. Bring some gratitude for yourself and choosing your own health and wellness by doing this practice. Say something very kind to yourself. You're ready to flutter your eyes open, not looking at any one thing in particular. And as we transition back into the real world, as we transition back into our next thing, maybe we just kind of ease into movement by rolling onto our side or just kind of finding another easy position. This gives us another opportunity to just take inventory with how our body's doing after we've been not moving too much. And we'll open it up for a little bit of chat.